Good morning to everybody. This is Stefano, Mazarin Dialogues. We were offline like many months, and now we're returning back for a small stream, just an update after like the Trump meeting with Putin in Alaska. Just a small update. Anybody want like to make question or whatever, we will start to make like some streams soon. This one will be very short, a little bit updates, and let's see if there is like anybody that want to join us, questions or whatever. So I prepared for you just a little presentation. So let's find out if it could be useful for you. So let's make a small analysis about what Kellogg was proposing some months ago. It was like a proposal of division of Ukraine, and it was about 8 mile wide demilitarized zone. And we can see that in this case, technically, it's not clear about the city of Kherson, but like the front will remain a little bit the same of today. There is like a zone that is controlled militarily from Ukrainian forces, but it's after the Dnieper River, and the other one that is like in combination with the European forces. So this proposal was completely, let's say, refused by the Russians. What is the problem about what Putin is requesting? So let's start with like the point of the request of Putin were a little bit multiple. So what can I say about it? There was like a request about the return of the use of Russian as official language. Doesn't be super clear about in which oblast, why not Ukrainian, whatever. So maybe it's like a sort of negotiation to put Russian as like official language plus Ukrainian. Still not clear. What is like the meaning of what Putin asked? It's very visible in an article that we will see that it's in Axios. So, but returning back to this map, we can see what is the main problem about like the request of Putin. The main problem, it's like that this belt of cities, it's like a sort of protection that was made after 2014 to 45 cities that are mainly Sloviansk, Kramatorsk, and Konstantinivka, plus let's say Pokrovka, but it's technically protecting the other oblast. So if we return back, let's say, and we make an analysis of what could happen, let's see, in this case, you can see clearly. Let me take away to make like the bar a little bit, let's say, bigger. So you can see that if this is like the fortified zone, and this is like about resources that are present like in this oblast. So you can see there is lithium, there is other materials and whatever. Another point, it's about like previous attempt to seize the fortress belt. It was like before the conquer of Ukrainian in the advance in Kharkiv Oblast. So you see that Izium and Liman was like occupied by the Russians, and so like the cities were, let's say, however, protecting the rest of the Donetsk Oblast and however Kharkiv and Dnipropetrovsk Oblast. So this is very difficult, like to see these cities, because there is no prevention for a next attack of the Russian on Kharkiv and Dnipropetrovsk. you can see clearly from here that if there is no, let's say, a real military protection in the other oblast, it could be like simply a jump on the next part of Ukraine, especially Kharkiv, Zaporizhia, and Dnipropetrovsk. So it's very difficult for the Ukrainian to see like this part without any type of real protection. So consider Liman, for example, that now it's occupied. It opens potential new line of advance. We can see like that, like Liman, Sloviansk, Kramatorsk, and Konstantinivka. It's like a belt, protection belt. So and when it's like Izium, and when you have Kharkiv, whatever. So very problematic. And however, in the south of Donetsk Oblast, it's the same. Considering Petrovsk and Mirnorad, consider potential new line of advance north, west, and south. Situation is very complicated. So technically, like the four provinces that were like annexed and are in the Russian constitution, it's like Lugansk, Donetsk, Zaporizhia, Kherson. Crimea was already annexed. And in this case, you can see that in the map, Zaporizhia, Kherson, and Donetsk are not completely occupied. Lugansk, yes. And so the request of Putin, it's like seems to be that it's a return back of the front of also not occupied zone by Russian in Donetsk, Zaporizhia, and Kherson in an exchange for a ceasefire. So problematic, very problematic. Let's see what we can see also about oil and gas fastly. Oil and gas. So the situation about oil and gas, we can see fastly. Like in July, Russian monthly fossil fuel export revenues saw a 3% month-on-month decline. Revenues from pipeline gas increased 40%. We can see why the 41 rise in export via Turk Stream following the June maintenance. So this is why it's not increased. It was like declined a lot because like the Turk Stream was like closed like for the maintenance. So it's an increase, but because before like the gas production was falling down. So the five largest EU importer of Russian fuels, you will see that like the revenue was 1.1 billion purchase. So the European Union does not sanction natural gas, but only oil. So in the next slides, we will see like what is like the countries that are still importing. So you can make a little bit of your evaluation about why some countries have a position that it's more soft on Russia. So Russia fossil fuel export revenue, you can see that like from the top that was still like in 2022, it was about 1.2 million euro for day, like billions, sorry, for day. Now it's like stable, little bit over like 500 million. So it's like the cut, it's about half. So you can see that the biggest cut that was made, it was like gas by pipeline, because for sure like the problem, it was like the grid like to Europe. And this data includes also the shadow fleet. Let's see also to understand like the international position of countries about Russia. We see that China remained the largest global buyer of Russian fossil fuels in July 2025. Their imports accounted for 42% of the Russian monthly export earnings. So I'm repeating to you, 42% of the total revenue about fossil fuels is from China. So, and China is buying like with a discount price on the market. So India remains the second largest purchaser of Russian fossil fuels. And but it's a little bit different because, for example, China it's importing also gas and LNG. You can see that in the case of India, majority it's crude oil, so refined directly in India, a little bit of oil products and coal. The third is Turkey, and but it's about 21% of the import, 3.1 billion. And you see that it's like 9%, sorry, 49% of Turkey import, it's about oil products, so already refined benzene and gasoline. European Union, it's the fourth. In this case, we will see what are the countries that are importing. And technically, Saudi Arabia fifth, it's only like oil products. I think this about Saudi Arabia, it's a little bit like soft power of importing a little bit of refined oil. So let's check about the scenario in Europe. But it's a little bit interesting because like you can see the position of some country. And strangely, we can see that, let's say in July, the five largest importer, that it's like already paying 1.1 billion euro to Russia. It's mainly composed by Hungary, but is historically a soft position to Russia with Viktor Orban casually. And we can see that Hungary it's like importing about half a billion of products, but it's technically crude oil 200 million and gas via pipeline. It's about 285 million. France, very strange for me, but it's like you see, like France, it's importing via Dunkerque terminal, and then a part of this is delivered to Germany. Probably Germany, the German infrastructure is not enough to import enough LNG of the gas that they needed for the industry. The third is Slovakia. It is the third importer of Russian fossil fuel. So 79% of Slovakia imports consist of crude oil, so it's refined directly in Slovakia, and a little bit of gas via pipeline. But it's the same with the Druzhba, that is like still the pipeline that it's going through Ukraine. Belgium, LNG, and then Spain, LNG. About the price, we can see that like the difference of the price. You can see it here about the Urals and the Brent, and here the valuation, it's a little bit now, it's a little bit stable. There is not a big difference in the prices. Returning back. So just to make it short, if you have any question, just ask. I'm checking the chat. Okay. Ciao, Isla. I will answer to you. So returning back to the proposed map. So this is like the map that was proposed by Kellogg. Let's see the question of Isla. With a bridge of the western bank of Dnieper River most likely. Whether Zelensky accept the peace deal or not, okay. If accept, Russia will be a big bridge to Odessa. I don't think that they will accept. It's negotiation, and technically it's like very SSSR style. There is a, let's say, I will check. Okay, let's check about the memorandum of Gromyko. So there is like a little bit of rules about how managing negotiation. So this negotiation, it's a little bit technically. So it's in the history of let's say SSSR negotiation. So what is like the principles? So first it's demand the maximum. Do not meekly ask but demand. Second, present ultimatums. Third, do not give 1 inch of ground because there will be always be someone in the West that will offer you something, maybe half of what you did not previously have. So, using this type of negotiation, it's very interesting that with the style, we need to understand that it's difficult to manage West and East negotiation, especially US. So, okay, if I would not accept, the US will be excused to leave. So, however, I think US already agreed to leave. So, about the international position of US, I think it's very weak now, my opinion, because nobody can trust what they say. It's very changeable. Also in the Russian media, we are already talking about that a negotiation that could made with Trump, made by Putin, will not be value if the government will change next time. So there is no trust about Russia in strong and durable negotiation with US. My opinion, think about it, the Budapest memorandum that was like forcing the Ukrainian to give away the nuclear weapons in exchange of security guarantees. We are in this situation. So, my opinion, it's let's say this scenario of Kellogg could be like the most likely, just to put it in a way that could be acceptable. For sure, the Ukrainian will not like it. It could be a free solution that maybe could be changed in time. But remembering the situation of the frozen conflict of the former SSSR, I think that could be a long, let's say, Korean solution. Think about it, the other position. Nagorno-Karabakh solved after 20 years. We have a same situation in Transnistria and Moldova still unsolved, with Russian peacekeepers on the ground between Bender and Tiraspol. We have a same situation in South Ossetia. I was there like last summer. So technically, Russia is still occupying 20% of Georgian ground, and no big problem, no big deal. So, any other question? What kind of security guarantee we can talk about when Ukraine has been effectively captured by a foreign entity hostile to Russia in 2014? I don't know. Let's say there was like, if we can talk about political election, there is a lot of discussion about it, but there was many, let's say, internal election before, pro-European, pro-Russian, and the case of Ukraine, it's a little bit, let's say, different to analyze from the others, because it's a country that it was considered like a pillar state for many years. So, wait a sec. So, Isla, can you be a little bit more, let's say, to elaborate your thing about occupied by another entity? Because like the technically, like this process started in 1990, 1991 with a referendum that we already talked about in Ukraine, where over 90% of the Ukrainian was voting to, let's say, be independent from Soviet Union. Also in the oblast that are now, let's say, occupied by Russian. Also in Crimea, like the results was about 60% of being independent from Soviet Union. So if you can more elaborate this question, we can talk about it. I will check and find like about the results of referendum. Okay. Checking fastly. Okay. So I'm sharing now like the map. So we can see in this case like in all the provinces we had like the results of the referendum. And let's say if we can check like in every oblast the referendum of 1991, where like the question was this one. I will repeat fastly. The votes were choice about to be independent from Soviet Union. 28,080,004 votes for yes to be independent, and 2 million votes to no. So it was 92%, 26 and 7% to remain in Soviet Union. So in this, let's say, put also the other image just to show like the results. So you can see this one was like the original results, and we can see also in Crimea, and we had 54% and 57% that were pro be independent from Soviet Union. In Donetsk was 83, in Lugansk 83, Zaporizhia Oblast 90%, Kherson 90%. So these, let's say, results were pretty clear about the situation. Okay. If you remember the first time Maidan, whatever it was called, when Yushchenko was elected, okay, I was in Ukraine for another, let's say, situation. I was there because I was trying to meeting the youth in politics and political parties and politicians under 35 to organize a political school in Florence in 2013. I was there at the end of the year, so just a few months before Maidan, and situation was tense, but okay. And if I have to say about this situation, for sure there were, like in any other situation, foreign state intervention I think we can find in every situation, but I don't think that was technically a coup d'état like the Russian were calling. It was for sure riots, and the situation was probably because let's say there was a, let's say, some sensation of Ukrainian, especially the youth, that was a betrayal of the population because it was more convenient the agreement with the European Union. Now, what can I say? If we can check like the results of this 1991, technically it's about 30 years ago, everything started from there. There is a lot of diaries of we already talked about Cherniv, but they were talking about that it was impossible for the Russian to think Russia without Crimea, and they were creating just from like this referendum internal revolts in Crimea against the situation of an independent Ukraine with Crimea. So, what can I say? It's long-term game. What I think that it's like, let's see, what is like you said. If you have any question, just ask. Honestly, I think that the conflict cannot end until the new security arrangement in Europe that includes Russia's interest into account is established. And there is no trust. It can be a change of physical reality and ground in Eastern Europe. I can, let's say, agree partially because for like Russian security, you had to have, let's say, neutral pillars, the pillow zone that could include any states till the Carpathian. So it's like to Moldova and a little part of Romania, but I think it's impossible. And now technically the position of Trump, it's a little bit to have an exit strategy theoretically, because what he did, it's like to push the European states to increase like massively the defense spending. What we can see, I think that not all the states of NATO that are based in European Union will buy only US weapons. We can see that there is some countries that are already changing their order about F-35. Now, technically based by Italy, I think Italy is the biggest buyer of F-35 in the world. But also because Leonardo, it's like one of the part of the consortium that is like the producer. For example, the wings of F-35 are made in Italy. About the next generation flights, for example, Italy will not buy from US, but will produce a fighter jet with UK and Japan. Now there was presented also a new drone yesterday with a capacity of flight about 20 days without refueling, with a wing that it's long 72 meters, made in Italy by Leonardo. I think like defense industries will give us a little bit of surprises next years. And okay, another question. I don't know about Russians thinking. I think Crimea is strategically important to Russia and override ideological concerns. Okay. Technically, yes, but if you think about it, let's say Georgia and Caucasus, it's a little bit lost for me in geopolitical position of Russia. Let's make a map. just to understand a little bit the situation. Okay. I wanted to show you why. Now you will see, because if we can check a little bit this situation, we can understand that situation in Caucasus, it's very variable, and it's next to you, so you can understand, let's say, a lot about it. Let's put a little bit big screen. Okay, perfect. So if we maximize like the situation, we can see what is the problem of Caucasus. So Russia, it's in the upper part. Then we have Georgia, and then we have, let's say, on the side, Turkey. The peace agreement that was made by Baku, it's like to create like also a new connection and a new, let's say, road that is connecting like Turkey through the southern part, and connecting Nachivan, that is an exclave of Azerbaijan, that was connected only through air in directly to have like a connection between Baku and Turkey. This agreement is very interesting because like it's losing ground for Russia to be like, let's say, a peace force in the zone, a control force in the zone, because now it's losing ground to US and Turkey. Georgia, it's in another position. Why? Because if we can talk about Georgia, it's very interesting because there is like Chinese interest a lot. When I was there 1 year ago and 2 years ago, they were reconstructing all the highway east west, and they're constructing a new port on the border of Abkhazia. Chinese, so they're very interesting because they wanted to create like a port usable in the Silk Road to export from the Black Sea. Okay, Isla. Defense industries require cheap energy and resources to manufacture equipment in. Okay. Okay. As I can say to you, like gas price and oil price, now in Italy, like with LNG, it's lower than 2025, 2022. So if I have to compare yesterday, let's say in the peak of 2022, we had, let's say, gasoline over €2 for liter. Now it's about 1.6. So also gas price dropped down a lot because now infrastructure you can for sure it's cheap by pipeline, but with pipeline you have only one let's say client, one deliver zone. Now we can buy from everywhere, and technically Italy now it's more like a reseller because we have at least 5 LNG terminal, probably buy more ships like LNG terminal. Now it's located in Piombino in Tuscany. We have one terminal in La Spezia, one in Ravenna. I think they want to do something also in Trieste, one in southern Italy. So market is changing. Okay, for today, I think that we already made like this fast update. I wanted to make like 20 minutes. It's already half an hour. If you have any type of question for the next streams, the idea is like to make new streams in the next weeks, like with guests. But if you have any type of questions, just ask in the comments. We are using like this new platform that it's called Streams. It's very nice, a little bit of alternative of StreamYard. So I hope that you enjoyed these materials. I will prepare a little bit more about real, let's say, proposal and negotiation about this Trump-Putin meeting. Isla, I agree with you, but let's say the infrastructure, it's not physically a pipeline anymore, because it's cheaper to make multiple contracts with multiple, let's say, clients and from all over the world. Plus, now there is like this situation where the European Union had to agree with the actual let's say, US government to import LNG, like for this tariff deal till the Trump will be in charge. But I think watching like a lot of streams also about the rest is US politics, that is a stream that I suggest you a lot. I think also the next government, also if it will be like Democrats, it will be very difficult to remove like the actual tariff regime. So let's see what will happen. I will prepare a little bit of material and I will invite some guests. I will try to make like at least one stream for a week. I had to work a lot in my regular job, so I had to reduce a lot of the streams, but I think it will be a good chance to have let's say, a lot of chit chat and also group talks with you. So have an amazing Sunday. I hope that you and your family will be safe and sound, and hope that the war will end as soon as possible. As you know, I have like every time I have two flags, so 1 and 2. So hope that these two nations will be able to make an agreement and stop the war as soon as possible, because it's already 3 years and it's very long, considering from 2022. If we consider from 2014, it's already 11 years. I hope that this situation, especially for the families that live in Ukraine, will end soon. So have an amazing Sunday, and